Look at all those recordings and progress. Recording.
You want to come up with this answer, or just?
You want me up there?
Yeah, you're gonna be on the hot seat tonight.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie's not here, maybe.
I can take care of that, Andy.
Jerry.
Jackie, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Okay, thank you. Let me mute me.
Great. That's just so good. I don't think that's
She on the unit. Okay. But I think we're good. So whenever you're ready, Mr. Bertolo.
I'm ready. 6:33, I'm gonna call the meeting of the September 2nd Town of Silk Planning and Zoning Commission to order. Could we have a roll call, please, Nicole?
Yes, sir. Chair Williams, Vice Chair Bertolo,
Present.
Commissioner Aragon, Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Gizarelli. Present. Commissioner Wood, Commissioner Ayers.
Present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is public comments. Is there anyone here that was wishing to make a comment for the Planning and Zoning Commission topic that is not on the agenda?
I think everybody present in the room is with an agenda item. Jackie, do you have any public comment? Okay,
Or did we
She said
receive
no.
any by email or?
we did not.
The next item is the consent agenda with the minutes for the August 5th, 2025 P and Z meeting. Hope you all had a chance to go over those, and if there are any corrections or additions, please say so now. If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval. From somebody, anybody.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from August 5th, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting as presented.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded by Commissioner Gigarelli and seconded by Justin Anderson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Good. We're on a roll. Are there any conflicts of interest tonight? From any of the members? Nicole, are there any agenda changes?
There is an agenda change. We are going to remove the appointed official ethics training due to not having full attendance from the planning commission, and that will be rescheduled.
Very good. That leads us to the perhaps the one and only item on the agenda, the Western Slope Veterans Coalition Plan New Development. Nicole, do you have a presentation for us?
I do, sir. Alrighty, the Western Slope Veterans Coalition came in front of the planning commission about a month ago with the Flat Tops Cowboy Church for a sketch plan. And that was approved by not only the planning, well, it was approved by the planning commission, and then additional feedback was given by the board of trustees. That has enabled them to move forward, and I saw something in my inbox this afternoon from Mr. Kirsten that I think they're getting closer to final submittal. But before they get to that final submittal, we are looking to get the planned unit development zoning through the planning commission so that that can be presented to the board of trustees at the time of their final submittal. And I am going to actually switch over, so I did give some background and history. If everybody here was part of that initial conversation, so I don't wanna go into too much detail. But the Flat Tops Cowboy Church is subdividing their property and there's a 2 acre subdivision off of their westerly end of the property that's gonna be designated for the Western Slope Veterans Coalition. They have a concept plan put together with the understanding that it's a concept plan and they need to better determine what is needed for housing, so it's gonna be a mix of duplex and single family. They're just not quite sure exactly what that looks like yet until they start taking applications and they submit a site plan. The concept plan is currently showing on the screen. Zoom in here. And so the development will look similar to this. There's some family units on the north and south side, where my mouse is moving. And then there's a manager's unit that's larger, in the middle for the on-staff manager. That's gonna be, the property manager for the parcel. Everything else is currently shown as duplexes. But again, within the planned unit development zoning, we wanna have a little bit of flexibility in case they determine that it's gonna be beneficial to have 3 single family because they have more families applying than individuals. And I was able to get feedback from our attorney after the packet went out. And so I'm actually gonna pull up, there's only a couple of small changes, but they're changes that we'll implement, so I wanna make sure that I show you guys the most recent version of the PUD. With that being said, I did have that staff finds that it's overall acceptable and proposes with the town's governing documents. Staff does recommend approval with the presentations made during this meeting. That in with the condition of approval that the applicant provides any additional written documents and pays any fees. That the applicant develops and receives approval for the necessary governing agreements. There will be a development agreement that goes along with this development. It will go to the Board of Trustees, so
The development agreement, you said.
the development
Okay, very
agreement, will-
good.
yeah. So this will be the last thing that comes in front of the planning commission until site plan. So site plan approval, this will be the last thing that the planning commission makes a recommendation on. The board will make all the final determinations of the subdivision and the zoning, and then the site plans will come in front of the planning commission for a final decision. The other recommended or the conditions of approval are that the referral agency comments be met, that the tract development requires the site plan review, and that this approval is not for construction. There is a recommended motion. And so before we get to that, let me share the PUD. Okay, so, Mr. Kirsten and I went through this PUD last week. And we both feel comfortable with what's on here. It's not solidified, this is a working document, so if you have feedback, now would be the time to give it. But we added the PUD objectives and with the number 1 being that the proposal is gonna develop a high quality, attractive and economically viable project that creates a residential development, providing housing opportunities for veterans in close proximity to commercial and recreational land uses. And so I point that one out because that one is going to be part of the PUD later on that I wanna bring your attention to, but their number 1 objective is to create housing opportunities for veterans. And then we get into the zone districts. And this is gonna have a singular zone district of high density residential. And then here's where a couple of the changes were that, or questions that our attorney had. So he just added, it's not to exceed a density of 28 units. He was questioning the 28 units because currently there's 26 proposed. And we wanted to leave it open that if they end up needing to take one of the single families and make it into a duplex. Or both single families and make them into duplexes because that's where they're seeing the need is, that they have that flexibility to do that. So it's not necessarily creating additional dwelling units, it's just you have this many structures and here's how many dwelling units you can fit within those structures. which would really be converting the two proposed single families into duplexes.
Is that, sorry to interrupt, is that language spelled out somewhere directly? Because I think that's important language to hold that it's, the structure the number of structures aren't changing. Right.
Yes, so this would allow that number of structures, and then down below, we specify that it can be in a single family or it can be in a duplex. And then our attorney wanted us to add that it excludes mobile homes, so that it didn't turn into a mobile home park. But with the density and the proposal, they would still have to meet if it turned into, like, they don't have space for it to be larger housing units. The only way that this many units is gonna fit is really within the realm of what they've proposed with the little village concept. Other permitted uses is the private community building, the common area for the exclusive use of the residents, and the meeting rooms for the exclusive use of the residents. So it would, that's gonna help this, continue to be a residential PUD without any commercial element. We don't want any commercial element within, what's being proposed. And as long as it's only open to the private residents of who's occupying that parcel, then it's not gonna be considered a commercial, element to the residential PUD. And then just to solidify that in the forbidden uses, we put commercial and, the further subdivision or, condominiumizing any of the, structures that are there. So we want it to maintain as one parcel, so we solidified that in the PUD.
Well, that's, I think it's just not.
And
Can I make
then,
one comment on that, Nicole? As far as what you just said about the commercial use only being for,
Please state your name for the record in the tape.
sorry, Jeff Kerr, pastor of Flat Top Cowboy Church.
Very good.
I just want to make a comment about the commercial use of that. I think the intention of the community building was not just for the residents, but they might bring in other VA vets to that location as well. Is that not correct? John?
Potentially, but it's not a for-profit commercial operation.
No, but there, I just wanna make sure that, like, if other people show up there for counseling that are not residents of that area, that's gonna cause a conflict.
so I think that will be covered under, because you have, like, it's specified meeting rooms. So that should be covered under if somebody's coming in for a meeting. But as long as it has to do with the development as a whole, that's something that the development is hosting as a counseling session at that meeting room, that should be fine, that should be covered.
As a guest.
But you're not, you wouldn't be renting out the meeting rooms for somebody to have a party or. So it would be for the exclusive use of the veterans, with the Veterans Coalition, project.
Okay.
And then PUD standards. A lot of this is gonna default to site plan review, as it does because it's hard to put setbacks within a PUD if we don't even know exactly what is being proposed yet. So that gives a little bit of flexibility for the planning commission at the time of site plan review to say, okay, yeah, that fits well, or, oh no, we don't want a 0 lot line here, that doesn't work. They have a lot of space around with the proposal that they put in front of the commission, but this will help give a little bit more flexibility if the commission wants to see something different at the time of site plan. The maximum building height would be 35 feet, which is the same as an R3 zone district, which is a higher density zone district. The minimum unit size is gonna be 350 square foot. The maximum unit size, oh, you know what, John and I did make a couple changes that,
You changed that, didn't you?
Yeah. So that one is actually gonna be 2,000 square foot. Is the maximum unit size for the commercial, or for the community building. And then in open space and parkland, the reason why I read the definition of their goal and A1 being a veterans coalition or veterans housing proposal is that as long as this parcel is used for the veterans housing, that the town would waive the in lieu of fee for the parkland dedication. If it's used for something outside of that, then the town would require that parkland dedication fee to be collected. Or for parkland to be, provided. The landscaping will be reviewed and approved at the time of site plan approval. And then the parking standards are slightly less than what's in our code. But as long as it's being used for the Veterans Coalition, John and I discussed that if anybody has a vehicle, it's not gonna be more than one vehicle. And there is enough parking for the project as a whole, and that'll be looked at the time of site plan also. But the minimum requirements for off-street parking is listed in the PUD as 1 for a studio or 1 bedroom, 2 for a 2 or more bedroom. And then 1 space for every 400 square feet of the community building. There is also additional parking if needed at the time of site plan on Home Avenue that is designated street parking as overflow if needed. And then, the attorney just had a change on, instead of new construction, just improvements requires site plan process. And then the site plan process is listed out in the PUD. And then if the municipal code changes and eliminates the site plan review process, the process that the PUD would have to follow is whatever was implemented at the time that the Silt Municipal Code changes would have to continue to be the process that they go through for site plan. There's some definitions in here that I don't think we necessarily need to go over, if you all read through the PUD prior to. The environmental standards is just saying that they're gonna contact who they need to contact. And that they're gonna follow the restrictions of FEMA or the Army Corps if there's any designated wetlands, which they've gone through a lot of this process already. There will be a zoning map that will be attached as an exhibit. So as soon as their final documents are done, one of the documents will be added as an exhibit to the PUD so that it designates the zoning depicted in a map. And then conflicts of interest within the municipal code. If it's in the PUD supersedes. If it's not in the PUD, the municipal code supersedes. And that is all that I have for the PUD. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have or get any feedback that you may have. And open it to the applicants if they have anything that they need to add. And this is also a public hearing action item, so we'll also need to open the public hearing.
Questions for Nicole?
Yeah, I do. Do we not have in the town of Silt requirements for a PUD to have the plat and with the application? Cause we have a conceptual plan still, and I saw some of the requirements about noting the square footage and this, that, and the other, and I realize we have that in that conceptual that's been added on here. But we still don't really have any true plat or any way to define where the lot line is between the 2 parcels, because it's going from 1 to 2. And I realize some of those setbacks are hard to define because we're still at such a conceptual idea here, but I guess in my mind, when you're getting ready to apply for PUD, you should have that pretty well in mind. I was surprised to see in your list of requirements that an actual PUD plat was not required.
So it is required, the PUD would be approved at the time of final plat. It wouldn't be approved before, so. When we're at the planning commission level, you're just looking at the zoning, not looking at the final plat. That'll be a board decision.
Sure.
So the final plat it is a requirement, but for the PUD.
Not for application,
So-
just for funds.
Correct, yeah.
So it's not a requirement for application.
It is not, no, and so what they provided, it does show the property line, but it's not at final.
Sure.
So the planning commission for a PUD, you're looking at the zoning requirements. and determining whether or not that's something that can be implemented, whether it's this project or a different project coming into that zoning. And then it will not be approved until engineering is final. Engineering comments have to be like 98% final. With the corrections being completed and final plat. So the PUD would not ever be approved until final plat was ready to be approved.
Sure. I guess, just in my mind, I hear everything you're saying, it absolutely makes sense, it's just. In my mind, if I'm approving zoning, I don't even know where the boundary of that zone I'm approving is yet. Officially, or within real ground. This is all just still conceptual, so that's why I was going down this road. I am approving a zoning thing and. I'm not sure the extent of that zoning beyond. One general line on the conceptual plan, so. Guess I would have expected to see something more than by now, but. You know. I don't think I have any other questions.
Gentlemen, the floor is yours. Mr. Kirsten, is that, did I say that
So real
correctly?
quick, just introduction, John Kirsten.
And could you
I
introduce
will,
your friend?
representing the applicant, and I brought the whole team tonight just to make sure you guys have plenty of opportunity for questions and make sure we understand the project, so let them introduce themselves.
Yes, I'm David Rosenfeld, I'm the architect.
Yancy Nichol, Sopus Engineering, Civil Engineering.
Jeff Kerr, Flat Tops, pastor of Flat Tops Cowboy Church.
John Bennett, Western Slope Veterans Coalition. John Beckius, Veterans Coalition.
So we came in force,
Very good.
but not to intimidate, just.
We won't miss you. Your time is coming. Go right ahead.
Can you allow me to share my screen? There we go. All right, so just real quick, since it's fresh off of the comments. We actually have a preliminary plat full review. I sent it to Nicole today, just in anticipation of this meeting going well tonight. Drake Consulting, Travis Kaiser is doing the plat. It does match what the overall site plan property lines are showing. The hangup has been, we're actually trying to clean up some inconsistencies, old part of town, right? First Street, we're actually cleaning up the 70-foot right of way. We can't really find a good history on that existing, so we're just gonna clean it up, make 35-foot from center line to match First Street that's there. And then there's a utility easement through the veterans parcel that feeds the subdivision to the north, so there's sewer, water, and irrigation. And there was a conflict. There's actually two easements that were recorded. One had some incorrect information. We couldn't make it tied back to control, so we just cleaned it up and made the easement wider, encompass essentially both of the existing prior easements, and we're making one new easement. So we're pretty much just cleaning up the plats in that area of town anyways, so that's been a little bit of a delay. We've been working closely with Nicole and Derek trying to find the history, but it just doesn't exist, so we figured this was the best way to do it. Now's the time we're here, so we do have preliminary plat, but in fairness, Nicole just got it today, so obviously it wasn't included in the packet, but it wasn't required, so. But just a peace of mind, it does match the preliminary site plan that Yancy prepared.
Thank you.
The parking, just to address that real quick, obviously, since this is owned by the Western Slope Veterans Coalition and they'll have a full-time on-site manager. Most of these, all but two right now, are the tiny home kind of concept duplex, the 300 square foot. Those are generally going to be single occupant. Occasionally, they could be double occupant, of course, but most of these people are lucky to have one car, so we don't think it's gonna be a hard topic to enforce. You know, parking should be pretty easy on this site. Community building, and again, you know, Nicole and I played with the setbacks. This is the plan we're going with. As we move to the next phase, if this gets approved, obviously we'll move into more architectural work on the buildings. Community building, if it's required to be sprinkled, we may need to add a few feet to put a, you know, water entry room. We're just kind of trying to think ahead of things that we may need, so we want a little flexibility if we have to change the sizes we can. And then maybe David can talk about the concept of the floor plans.
Yeah, so I mean, I think like we mentioned before, all the buildings are the same size, so you can intermix as needed between the single units. Or the duplex units. I think we've kind of talked a little bit before about the overall village kind of concept and these clusters. So essentially each section of buildings are clustered around an outdoor space just to create a a place for gathering and a place for a sense of community. And I believe you've all seen this concept before. Yeah, something else we'd add, but essentially, like we said, it's really more of a village concept and it's the idea that we can phase construction as needed as well, so. Essentially, if we needed to, we could build just the front community building and then the cluster of residences, which are, you know, they're basically like little cottage homes is kind of the idea. So it feels like a cluster of cottages and a manager's unit. So essentially you could build those 5 buildings first or 6 buildings and then cut it off there and then build the rest at a later phase. So it's set up for some flexibility in that regard. And looking at the new parking code as well, I think we're actually pretty well over parked at the moment based on the new code that we're looking at. So there's some flexibility there with the parking as well, so.
Nice work, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah,
Ease the parking, that's always one of the problems.
sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, you know, in here as well, we have a lot of ADA, a lot of accessible parking also, so. I mean, because there's gonna be that need, so it's definitely, it's overparked with accessible parking as well. Just knowing that's something that will be a pretty significant need on this site.
Yancy, anything to add on the site?
Oh, I'd comment that we're pretty close to being completed with all of our engineering infrastructure, water, sewer, storm, drainage. And feel quite comfortable that there's no kind of hidden issues with this site plan and project, so. I don't see anything from an engineering standpoint that won't support the project that's before you. Which Nicole will see here pretty soon.
Any other
Any-
comments from your side of the table?
I think we've addressed your comments, so unless you have any other questions, we can.
Well, that's what I was leading up to. Are there any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I got one more, and it might have been for Nicole, and I missed it earlier, I wasn't thinking about it. The building height that we're allowing, the 35 feet, seems generally speaking reasonable to me, but did you say that that was actually the typical regulation for R3, which is even more dense than what we're doing here?
If an R3 is less dense,
Less,
we don't have any, that's why they're applying for a PUD, because we don't have anything at this density level.
Mhm.
But it is, yeah, for the more dense zone district, it is 35 feet.
And so leading on to that, what are we looking at? I know we're still early on, but if we're pretty near through, I mean, because my general thought of all these are all single level. You
Except
know,
for the
there's not enough
family
square
units.
footage to be thinking about going up.
Yeah, except for so the family units are actually 2 stories.
Okay.
So those are the only ones that would be 2 stories, and I don't know that we'll be pushing too close to that height, but we'll definitely keep everything within that height. But everything else is single story.
It would probably be 26 to 28 feet in reality with a
Right.
small scale 2-story building and a moderate pitched roof.
Exactly, yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
And right now, like Nicole said, we're trying to leave this open. The demand changes. Right now, we're showing 2 single-family homes. By the time we get this all approved and funding in place, we may build more or less depending on what the demand is. And just to be clear, we're gonna have to build this in as we get funding, and we're gonna go apply for grants, and it's not probably gonna happen all at one time. We'd love for it to, but that's a big chunk of money. So likely we'll do the, manager's unit, a few units, and maybe the community building first, and then as we get more money, we'll expand over time.
I think that's mainly my question for you. I'm worried about the neighbors, just making sure I understand. Considering it is a PUD because we don't have zoning for it. I want to make sure. I fully understand the intent of the
Sure.
building height stuff. So I'm good.
Appreciate that.
So
And I believe a number of those homes are 2 stories as well, if not all of them, so I think we'll be right in there. And, you know, part of the overall concept, like we've discussed before, is that we're not really backing right up the neighbors, so the idea that we've turned the buildings 45 degrees, there are a few that might go parallel, but either way, you've got some open space in between these buildings and the neighbors. So it really shouldn't even feel all that dense when you're on the neighbor's side. At least, you know, honestly, I think that neighborhood is probably more dense in some ways behind us than this, in terms of the way it's gonna feel by the time the design is complete. So.
And the only thing we have not done yet is a landscape plan. We're in the process of doing that for the site plan review, but our direction to them is xeriscape as much as possible, but for sure, we're keeping trees back here between our units and the neighbors to help buffer that, kind of act as screening. So we'll make sure we're doing that.
Yeah, cause it is meant to feel like a park, you know, when you're wandering, you know, through the center courtyards, it's meant to feel like a park, and then when you're against the neighbors, it's meant to feel like a park from that side as well.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. At the last meeting, there was a suggestion or a comment from a neighbor about a possible fence on the property line to the west. Have you considered that or looked into that, or?
We have not, we'd probably address that on the landscape plan, but we'd certainly be willing to build a new fence along there. I think there's partial pieces of fences along there now. But if we need to, we'd be willing to build a new fence along that entire parcel boundary.
Removing the old, and
Sure.
putting in all new?
Yeah,
Very good. I wanted to head that one off
Yep.
for you. My other concern is kind of the distance of the parking to the front doors of the units, so
mhm.
thinking of a person bringing in their groceries. Are they, what's the distance? Can you perhaps enlighten me there, or how a person would, how your average person would get
So,
there?
yeah, I mean,
Groceries.
I mean, there are some that are fairly close, but then obviously we've got some that are 30-40 feet or more. I mean, depending on if you're going, how far your unit is to the entry.
Yeah, I would think,
Yeah.
David, that the longest from car or parking lot all the way over to the farthest units, you're talking about 120, 150.
Yeah, for these very center units. You know, and we could look at
Yeah.
adding pathways. I'm just looking, as I'm talking here, we could look at adding additional pathways.
So that's the
Where I
furthest
agree.
one, and it's 105 feet.
Yeah,
So that's really not that far, yeah.
Yeah, but if it's, I mean, it's too far, like I said, like we could cut right through the middle of those 2 units, but. I mean, it's kind of nice having that privacy there where someone's not walking right up against the back of your unit.
Well, you know, we hear a lot about veterans that are disabled or have some disability, and we want to make it as convenient for them to have a livable, I mean, that's the whole goal
Sure.
of the coalition to begin with, is for a pleasant living experience for our veterans.
Sure.
So I would hope that you would look into that for site plan. I'll be thinking about it anyway.
Okay,
For sure.
sure.
So I think some of that's management too, on site is, you have somebody that's little, you know, has higher needs for access, you put them in one of the closer units.
Very good.
I apologize if I missed this in the presentation, but are these gonna be ADA wheelchair ramps and stuff like that, each one?
Yes.
They're,
Yeah, all of
they
it.
all are.
Okay.
Every unit.
And they're all at grade, I mean, so it's basically the entries are at grade. So you're not dealing with having to go up steps to get to these units.
Yeah.
And then all the bathrooms, the things are planned to be all ADA.
Okay.
It helps that the site is a level ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You're lucky there.
They don't have to do dark ramps and.
Anything else before I turn it over to public comments? It is 7:05. This is a public hearing, public notice action item. I'm going to open the public hearing. I see we have one person in the audience. We have one person online. I'd like are there more than one online, Nicole?
There's not.
Let's take the person that's online first.
Jackie, do you have any public comment? Oh, you're muted. It looks like she said she doesn't though.
Oh, no comments?
No
That-
comment.
She's just listening in, that's
Yeah.
fine. The young lady in the back row then.
And you already addressed mine, as I sit in my backyard and think about those houses right there and everything, it's like, yes, I need a fence there.
Do us a favor then, and I know you did it the last time, but for this meeting, for the tape, would you
Yeah.
please say your name and your address?
Brooke Caldwell, 298 Birchwood.
Thank you so very much, appreciate that.
And I have talked to the other neighbors. Some of them, and they have said the same thing, that a couple of them, like the one on either side of me that need. It's like, boy, we really need some kind of buffer here, so I was glad to hear they're willing to do that, that really helps a lot, thank you.
Then when they do come in, I think we'll all be interested, not only in that fence, but where that landscaping might be in that,
Yes,
on your side of the fence. That might be something that will be of interest. Oh, it's 7:07. Close the public hearing. We can have further commissioner comments and or motions. I see in the packet, there is a motion on page 7 as well as one on page 16. The motion on page, the suggested motion on page 16 comes with the findings and conditions in this application. Oh, discussion first or not?
I mean, I feel supportive of this. I like this conceptual plan that you brought forward. I think the layout seems really beautiful. I think for a high density designation here, I don't think it'll necessarily feel like that as you navigate the space. I'll definitely be interested to see that vegetation plan for the visual impact. And would be, interested to see also the plans to build a fence to accommodate neighbors, but I think overall this seems like a really nice design. I think appreciate and understand the flexibility you've built into the design to see it adapt to your residents as that becomes more finalized, but I feel overall supportive of this. So thank you so much for your work on it.
Thank you.
Nicole, in your presentation, you read all those findings, didn't you?
I did.
1 through 6. So it would be the intent of whoever is making the motion that those 1 through 6 findings that are on page 16 and 17 would be included in your motion.
You want them read or just with the condition?
No, Nicole read them,
Okay,
and so that I'm just reiterating that they've been mentioned.
okay. I move to recommend approval to the Board of Trustees for the Western Slopes Veterans Coalition Planned Unit Development with the conditions listed in the staff report and spoken during this meeting.
Second that.
It's been moved by Commissioner Anderson and seconded by Commissioner Gigarelli. What was it that? Close?
Close.
Right?
Yeah.
I think we could say all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Now you're off to the Board of Trustees for the next session.
Oh, man.
You all did great, really appreciate it.
We really did. Thank you so much.
We appreciate your effort in sticking with this project after the original project was not as well received.
Absolutely.
We're happy.
It's a learning
Like
curve.
this is-
But I think I'm saying.
Thank you, everyone. That was awesome. Very good.
I just thought this so.
Thank you. We like Silt too. It's a good central location.
Absolutely. Yeah, great.
Thank you all.
Have some
Thanks
cookies.
so much.
We'll see you on the next one. Someone's on those, that's me, yeah.
Hey, thanks again.
Thanks, Nicole.
Nicole, I'm turning it back over to you for your planner report.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we had the concert Thursday night, keep wanting to say Friday night.
Yeah, nice job. It's awesome.
Yeah, that was a fun concert.
That's why.
It was, it was a really good band. So,
I got to hear it from the soccer field.
did you?
Kid was playing, but.
Yeah, it was a good concert. We have our upcoming events are the Main Street Trick or Treat. That I will be looking for volunteers to pass out candy. or run a town table of information. So if you're interested in helping out with that, definitely let me know. And then we have our tree lighting to wrap up the season, the event season. I did put the statistics of what's been happening in the building department and administration. Cleaned up some of the planning and zoning land use applications and gave an update on some of those. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on the staff report.
Bear with me, it was a lot.
Here's the wheel spinning, but,
I know.
How's your overall just feeling, sorry if you were.
go ahead, no, go ahead.
How's your overall feeling about keeping up with the new applications for building?
Building applications,
Mhm.
those are processing pretty quickly. So our, I mean, a miscellaneous, we tell people it can take up to 2 weeks, but it's rarely taking that long. And then building permit applications, we tell everybody 8 weeks. But as long as they get corrections back to us, we've gotten permits out in less than 8 weeks for single families or new builds. If people aren't getting corrections back to us, we still have some pending that we've had for 4 months. Because we need people to give corrections back. So what's in our capability, we're getting out pretty quick.
Great.
So, yeah.
Utilizing your crystal ball, what's it look like for next month? Any ideas?
We will have Lestadian, they're gonna have to republic notice, they didn't quite get their engineering corrections done. So they will republic notice, they'll come in the October agenda. And then
It's October 7th, I see here.
October 7th, yes.
Well, everything on the planner's report is wonderful, all the special events are wonderful. Except what I don't see, and what I kind of wish I could see is. Sometime in the future, if we could get back to having a farmer's market, what would it take to have something more like farmer's market that we've had in the past?
I think we're gonna be able to implement something like that when we get the 7th Street Plaza done. And it'll be on Main Street and it'll be downtown. Right now, we're just not having luck because Parachute has their farmer's market on Mondays. And then,
Well, if we have,
We shut that down.
I don't, it's like, everybody has one, but even our neighboring towns, I've gotten feedback that their farmers markets are not as well attended anymore either. So I don't know if there's just more going on. Too many farmers markets, too many towns are having farmers markets. I just know that there's one every night of the week. And so it's not like a rare commodity anymore. The market is just like almost too saturated to have good attendance at all of them.
well, the way the prices are going up at city market, you would think that they would be.
Well,
inclined
and it's
to,
hard to find vegetable and fruit vendors too,
um,
because Highwater doesn't do farmers markets and they're our local vegetable vendor. And so when we had our farmers market, somebody was driving down from Grand Junction and they just weren't making enough to continue to drive down from Grand Junction.
if we had a plaza, we'd have to pick a night anyway.
We would have to pick a night, but at least it would be more on the beaten path of people coming back and forth on Highway 6. When we moved it, we've never had great attendance at any of our farmers markets. But when we moved it from Main Street to Veterans Park, because the asphalt was hot to do it on Main Street. Veterans Park was a beautiful location. It was just enough off the beaten path that people forgot. So.
Well, it begs the question, where do you think the plaza stands in the capital program?
We're redoing the water line in 26, and we're talking about at that point, instead of repaving, just to tear it out again in the near future, we're just not gonna pave it, so we'll redo the water line in 26. And then we'll probably just put grass or something temporary, until we can get funding for the actual plaza.
I guess I would say when get into the design phase on that plaza, we might consider a shelter, a roof area, much like what's there for the Mexican restaurant. That's down, south 7th.
Mhm.
And that would help considerably. I don't know that the other towns really have that. We wanted to attract something like along those lines. I don't know, maybe that's a board of trustee, whether they want to attract that usage.
Mhm.
Something to see, to look into.
Yeah, we've talked about that usage and then we've tried to get vendors to attend the concerts. And we had a few that did well enough to continue to come back. But it's tough. The vendors, they need to make money and it's when not everybody is able to attend or if they do attend an event. And they didn't come there with a thought process that they were gonna go buy earrings or, and High Water did bring some vegetables, throughout the season and nobody was purchasing anything there, so. So it's like trying to figure out, I
At
mean,
the
and I'll open
concert?
to any suggestions, huh?
At the concert,
Mhm.
they had vegetables?
They did the first concert.
Oh, wow.
And then when they bring it and it sits out in the sun and everything starts to wilt, they said it just ends up going in the trash.
I had no idea. I guess I missed that. I did stop by their
Yeah.
stand, but I did not see vegetables. Okay.
Yeah, and all year last year, they brought vegetables that they said unfortunately, they just had to trash because
Yeah.
they sat out in the sun, so. Yeah,
Although some produce is going to Food Bank of the Rocky, because I see it at the Wednesday. Um, What's it called, something up,
like the lift up,
lift up,
yeah. Yeah,
so some of the local produce is getting to people that way, but it's, it's for free.
yeah,
Unless you make a donation,
yes,
and that's a good program.
that is. Yeah.
Hope that could continue, and again, if that was something that. Another use for a plaza. They serve about 25 to 30 local residents on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
Okay, enough of that, I can speak to it at a later time. Anything else? Any commissioner comments, aside from me?
Yeah, I guess I have my comment to, volunteer for the code commission or whatever we'll call them that.
code committee,
The committee, that's the word I'm looking for.
Just put them on the email list,
I'll add you to the email list.
and because it is fully voluntary. And the only compensation is the Christmas party.
Great. Compensation I got from this.
All right, anything else? Oh, there's a really important motion that needs to happen,
A
so.
motion we adjourn.
7:20. And Nicole, if you would let the manager or the town clerk know that I'm interested in the